Hi, welcome to Just in the Kitchen with me, your host, Justine. So I am making butter pecan ice cream. It is my favorite ice cream. Mark on the camera always says, it's old people's ice cream. I don't care, I love it, it's my favorite. I remember going to the store up at Cherry Hill. I'd always get the butter pecan. It was the best. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make this butter pecan ice cream. And hopefully you will like it. In the next two videos after this, I'm going to show you how to make a cream puff, which is a profiterole. And you can put the butter pecan ice cream in it. And then I'm going to show you how to make some homemade hot fudge ice cream, or hot fudge sauce, and you are going to love it. So let's get going on the ingredients. We are going to start with half and half, 2 cups of half and half. We have unsalted, this is French butter. And the reason I use the French butter is it's higher in fat content, and ice cream tends to get when it gets the crystals or it gets harder, it's because it's not creamy enough. So butter, even though it has some water in it, all the higher fat stuff will keep it from, everything that's in here will keep it from getting hopefully very, very hard. But if it does, don't worry about it. Take it out of the refrigerator or out of the freezer. Let it set for 10-15 minutes like those ice cream cakes that you get, and then it'll be fine. So when you put the butter in here, what I'm going to do first is brown it. Woohoo! I think it's going to brown very quickly. Oh, no fire, no fire. And the brown butter, which we already have, and we'll just melt the rest of it. It will add to the flavor. That's exactly what I want. I didn't realize it'd get brown that fast, but hey, I am that good. So once all this foam goes down and the butter's gonna melt the rest of the way. So let's go while the butter's melting the rest of the way. And we'll turn this down a little bit. And we'll turn it down to medium. So then what's going to happen is Mark, if you can show, I've got brown sugar. Here's a cup and here's a third of a cup so I can candy my pecans. A little bit of salt. I have 7 egg yolks and I made sure to take all the little white things off and everything. Here is some more butter and pecans in this one. So hopefully we'll get to that. All right, so now, Mark, if you can kind of zoom in on this, and so we can see it's still, but you can see some of the brown butter. That just means some of the fat has turned to brown. Did you get that? All right, so let's put it back on, and that's just gonna add to the flavor. We're gonna put in a cup of brown sugar and our salt right here. Whoop. It's a little fleur de sel salt. If you want salty ice cream, you can add a little bit more salt. But the salt just kind of combines the, it takes out some of the sweetness. It just, I don't know why, salt and sugar go really well together and you're not going to taste the salt. So what I'm gonna do is cook this a little bit and I'm gonna add in my cream. My half and half, sorry. Half and half. Now it will bubble up on you, but that's okay. That's why I have a tall pot. It will bubble up and you want to get this going until it turns around and it will start becoming like a cream, like a caramel. Actually, that's what we're making, is like a caramel. And I think I can turn it up a little bit more. And if you see what I see on my side, it's a nice brown color, like a taupe color. Can you get that, Mark? So, did you get it? Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna let this cook for a little bit. And then, once it gets all combined, we're gonna temper our eggs. Now on the eggs, you wanna make sure that you get all the white stuff gone. But it's not the worst if you don't, because we are going to run it through a fine sieve, which will get some of that out. And it will take it to a creaminess level that is just out of this world. All right, so while we're cooking this, it's gonna take a while to heat up. You wanna get it to where the heat has melted all the sugar and it's combined with the butter. You don't want greasy ice cream. I think there's a little bit of smoke in here from when the butter was going. So I'm just going to probably whisk it a little bit. I think all the sugar is gone. So I remember one time there used to be this ice cream place called Miller's Ice Cream, and my Aunt Bertie came up, and bless her heart, she was in a wheelchair. She wasn't very good at walking. She was getting older, but she could walk some. And so she came to my house and I wanted to get her some ice cream, take her to Miller's, because I remember that's what her and my granny used to do. And I took her there, and so I said, do you want to go to Miller's Ice Cream? And she's like, yeah, I do. And I want a big, big ice cream. And what did she get? Butter pecan. I don't know if it's a southern thing or if it's an old thing, but it is a good thing. So now all the sugar has melted, or all the sugar has gone. And I'm going to start whisking it, half of it. It's called tempering. If you don't, you will have scrambled eggs, and you don't want scrambled eggs. So as you can see, I am mixing it. And it's called tempering. Nummy, nummy. And then what I'm going to do, this is a custard. All you're making is a custard. Now I'm going to put it back in here, and I'm going to cook it until it coats the bottom of the pan, or the bottom of the pan, the back of the spoon. What I'm going to have is you coating the back of the spoon. I know he's getting, I hear him huffing and puffing, and you probably will too, because I'm moving too much, but that's okay. So you just keep doing this, and it's going to get like pudding. And you can already see the eggs are starting to make it thick. Now over here, Mark, if you can follow me, over here, I'm just going to step over here. I have ice, and in another bowl I have 2 cups of heavy whipping cream. So that will go in there, and we'll mix it together, and then we'll cool it. And you can have, whatever your ice cream machine is, just follow the directions. It can take, the more air you get into it also, the less it's going to get really hard. So generally, now mine says until it starts clicking. I just have a KitchenAid mixer with an ice cream attachment. Some of them I've seen they're like $300, and if anybody would like to buy me one, I would be more than happy to take your gift. But what happens is they don't even need ice. I had to freeze mine last night, my container. But this one you don't even need to freeze, so that's really nice. Now it's getting thick right now, which is very, very good, but it's not thick enough. See, it's not, when I take my finger, it will not coat the back of the spoon. But it is very hot. Ay, ay, ay. It's getting thicker though. And then you're going to put it in here and strain it. You can see it's gotten thicker. And when I say it coats the back of the spoon, ouch, see? And it doesn't slide back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and run it through so any little impurities will not go into my ice cream. And then just go through with a sieve, and you're going to mix it, and it's going to cool. This is your ice cream mixture. Yay! And you don't want to push too hard on that because you don't want anything being pushed through that shouldn't be in there. But look how creamy that is. And then what I'll do, you can see little brown bits of butter in there. That's why they call it butter pecan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this cool off. And while I do that, I'm going to take my pecans and I'm going to put them on here. And as you can see, I already have butter in there. So I'm going to melt the butter. Oh, and one thing, when you do your pecan ice cream or your base, your custard, you want to make sure you may, start it on a different speed, but do it on low, okay? My stepdad, Mark, always said that I flash fried everything. And maybe I did, but this one, do not do that. It doesn't get done faster, it just gets bad. So then you put the butter in here, and once the butter is melted, this is caramelizing your pecans. So not only are you going to have goodness in this, you're going to have goodness in the pecans. The pecans itself are going to be good. They're going to be flavorful and toasted with butter and more brown sugar. How can that be bad, right? Like I said, I'm not a big sugar eater, but I love butter pecan ice cream. And for those of you that had mentioned that in the background, it kind of drove you wild that my microwave was flashing, I made sure it wasn't this time. Thanks for the tip. We didn't even realize it when we started filming. Right now, I've got 1/3 of a cup of sugar in there, brown sugar, and we're just gonna run this around and toast it on again low, because that sugar will burn. You see, it's the brown sugar has all melted and the nuts have gotten a little toasty. You want to be careful because at this point it's very easy to burn them, and you want to spread them evenly over a pan with a silk pad. I've tried to do it with wax paper. Doesn't work as well as a silk pad. So if you happen to not have a silk pad, you could use wax paper, but as they get hard, they stick to anything except this. And then you just kind of stir it around. There you go. So then you let these set and get caramelized. Some will have more. And then you're going to break them apart once they cool off. So you let them set for about, well, if you're making it all in one, you have to let them cool completely. So I would say at least 45 minutes that you want to let them set. There is the ice cream. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cover that with plastic wrap, put it in the refrigerator, let that completely cool down at least 3 to 4 hours so it's nice and cool before I put it into my machine. The nuts will be cool by then, and we'll be ready to assemble everything and start showing how you make the ice cream. So we'll be right back. I let this sit overnight to make sure it got really chilled. I tried to check it in a few hours and it just wasn't chilled enough for me. I have my little ice cream maker on my KitchenAid. I let this freeze overnight too. Actually, it's frozen for a couple of days. In the summertime, I keep this in my freezer all the time so I can make ice cream. I want to turn this on. I learned a little trick. You want it to be spinning when you do this. If you don't, then what happens is the ice cream gets in there and it freezes on the side and it won't turn. So I'm going to pour it very carefully. See how thick that is? It already looks like ice cream, like melted ice cream, a little bit. So I'm going to stir it in there, and it will volumize. It gets air in it. So you want to follow your directions. Whoop. You want to follow your directions, and whatever they say on your ice cream maker you want to do, you want to beat it for about 30 minutes, and probably about 5 minutes before it's done, and you'll notice it's gotten real thick. 5 minutes before it's done, you're going to turn around and then put your pecans in it. See, these are my pecans from yesterday, and I have to be really careful because I will eat them all. But they are very, very good. We're going to let this mix for about a half an hour. We're going to put the ice cream in, the pecans in, I'm sorry. We're going to put the ice cream in the ice cream. We're going to put pecans into the ice cream. And then I'll put it in the freezer and we'll come back when it's done. Let me taste this. so good. See you when it's done. It is done. The ice cream is all done. Look at that. The big thing is trying to get it all out of your container. The best part is eating what you can't get out. It's kind of like licking the beater. It is so good. Look at that. It is nice and creamy and nummy. And a spoon for me. Ooh, and there's a pecan. The pecans are crunchy. That sugar, brown sugar glaze on it adds a little crunch and a little toffee flavor. The ice cream is smooth and creamy. You can taste a little hint of the butter, which is what you should in butter pecan. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cover this, put it in the freezer, and we've got ice cream. I like to freeze it for a couple of hours before I serve it. Just put it in any type of plastic container, and you don't want to fill it full because and I've learned this, as it gets cold and it freezes more, what does it do? It expands and it will break your plastic. So there is butter pecan ice cream, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. There's no problem to doing it. You can do it. It takes a few steps, but it is worth it. You can put it on ice cream sandwiches. You can just eat it in the middle of the night, which is probably what I'll be doing. Thank you. Remember, www.justinthekitchen.com. Also remember to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, and God bless.